This morning, he says he was duped by a tax scheme, and this man asked us even to hide his identity.
How does this happen?
I swear for you, you're gullible.
Too embarrassed to show his face. When you hear his story, you decide, could it happen to you? Here is our consumer investigator, Kristen Byrne.
A taxpayer we talked with says when he met Michelle Edwards, she walked the walk and talked the talk. After she stopped by his business, he was convinced she could help him with his bookkeeping and his taxes.
It still makes me sick. I got screwed.
This Milwaukee businessman with a background in law enforcement agreed to do an interview with us as long as we didn't give out his name or show his face. He worries being a victim will hurt his business.
How did an educated businessman fall victim to tax fraud?
Well, you had someone who was very astute and actually appeared to understand all of the verbiage and the policies and the laws around taxes.
He's talking about Michelle Edwards. Court documents in the case say last February he gave Edwards copies of his Social Security card, birth certificate, and driver's license. At the end of March, he started wondering where his state tax return was. He called the Department of Revenue and found out a tax return check of $3,486 had already been issued to him and sent to a different address.
So you found out that someone pretending to be you contacted the Department of Revenue saying their address needed to be updated.
Right.
Did you immediately contact Michelle?
I did, and it was ironic you mentioned that. When I did, her response was, I wonder who would do something like that. And I was like, damn, they're good.
The next month, surveillance video captured Edwards depositing a check at a credit union on West Layton and Greenfield.
This person had actually cashed my return and opened up an account in another bank.
Under whose name?
Well, under my name, but with other people on the account.
I think we have seen kind of an uptick in scams affecting taxpayers.
Christopher Miller with the Internal Revenue Service in Milwaukee shows us how to choose a reputable tax preparer.
Go to irs.gov.
Finding someone credentialed just takes a few clicks.
All you have to do up in the search bar is put choose a tax preparer.
You can search by name or profession.
Well, the first choice is choosing a tax professional.
A twist in this taxpayer's case, though, we learned Michelle Edwards had an alias and went by the name Michelle Rogers instead. What do you do in that case?
I actually looked into that person's name, but not their alias.
From our check, neither of those names comes up on the IRS website. The IRS says if a name isn't there, look for someone else.
What would you have done differently?
My homework.
He eventually got his refund back, but this man says he can't seem to shake that uneasy feeling it might not be over.
Now, do I suffer the consequences if they get audited or something?
Keep in mind, if someone prepares taxes for money, they have to have what's called a P-10. It stands for Preparer Tax Identification Number, and that's given to you by the IRS. I'm consumer investigator Kristen Byrne.
Well, Michelle Edwards has pleaded guilty in this case. We did reach out to her attorney, but he declined an interview with us.